programming language that it has a predefined structure and we have to follow it. It was developed in year 1972 at AT&T Bell Labs by Dennis Ritchie. Now, there were some drawbacks with C. What was the drawbacks? That we cannot reuse the code. We have to write the entire code, entire file again. Then came the C++. So C++ developed by Bazarny Stortrops. It was the structured plus object-oriented programming language developed in year 1980, 81, 82. So some books says 1980, then some 81 and 82. So it was also a you can say structured plus object-oriented programming language, and it was also developed at AT&T Bell Labs. C was developed by Dennis Ritchie and C++ by Bazarny Stortrops, right? And C being the structure, being the basis of all modern programming language. Like today we are learning Java, we are learning Python, .NET technologies. So here somehow we can say that C is the basis. Before C, there were also languages like Basic, Fortran, Pascal, but they don't became popular as C because C was the easy language to start programming for the beginners, right? Now, these two languages and C++, there was some drawbacks with them. What was that? That these two languages were platform dependent. They were platform dependent. What does it mean by platform dependent? That if you code on, if you code on Windows, you can run in 1991, 1997. The although starting from 1991 only Java development was there, but by 7 it became more popular. So Java came into the market and it was the first platform independent language. Right? It was first platform independent language. You might have heard about JVM, write once, run everywhere. So you can write the code in any, in any of the, you can say, operating system and can run anywhere. Correct? Right. So Java became very popular. During 1990s, Python also came into the market, but Python was not that popular language. Although nowadays Python is on boom because of lots of modifications, we can say, right? And then after Java, the problem with Java was that we have to learn Java to code on the Java platform. Then we had .NET technologies. So what .NET technologies did? It said that, okay, you are a Java programmer, come to .NET. If you are a C programmer, come to .NET. If you are a C++ programmer, come to .NET. And everyone can code on our .NET platform, correct? So now, C being the language of the past, it's not like that we don't use C today, or we cannot code in C today, or we don't need C today. There are lots of applications where still C and C++ are used rather than Java or Python, such as they are used in system software, embedded application systems, and applications. You can also use them application software, but if you are designing a website or you're designing a web app, I will ask you to go with for JSP, or you can go with PHP, or you can go with Python, right? But if you are designing a system software, you are designing a device driver, if you are designing a utility that is for where you are manipulating the memory, then that is not possible in Java, Python, and other high-end languages. There you will need C and C++, right? Got it? Yes or no? Now, why to learn C? Because first of all, it is a foundation for other programming languages. Okay, for all the other programming, C is the foundation. Then it offers low-level memory access. As I told you that C and C++ have pointers, which you don't have in Java, right? So if you want to access the memory, then you have to learn C and C++. Just give me a minute. What happened? Yeah. Yeah. Then second, it encourages logical and structural thinking, right? Because if you want to apply the logic, C is a very good language. Then it is essential for project development and placement. Like for developing projects, not I won't say very high end, but for the basic projects also you can go with C. But mostly I will suggest that if you want to go with something where you want to design a system software, a utility program, or you want to design an operating system, of course, then you can C will be a better language rather than other high level language. And you know that Windows is designed in C++, like all of you know this, correct? So now, okay, so now what are the features of C? That is simple and efficient. Now it is portable and machine independent. Now there are two terms. One is platform dependent and machine independent. What is mean by this? So we code in high level programming language that is ultimately convert to low level language. And what is the low level language? 0 and 1. You know that we understand high level language. We cannot code in 0 and 1, right? And but machine won't understand high level language. It understands only binary. So we need translators in between, right? It is same as like I know English and you people know French and we want to communicate. So what we need? We need some translator in between. Yes, compiler and interpreter. So here you don't have to directly code on machine. For C, you don't have to directly code in machine. Like for the previous languages, when we used to code on punch cards and all, we use that. Structures.
Recording
Only
in
the syntax
progress.
is different, but yes, the logical loops are same. If I ask you to write the code to find a number is prime, the same logic will be applied to every programming language, right? So being a BCA or a student, like after BCA, you'll be moving with MCA, or if you want to be in the industry of software development, you can master what one language, but you should know the basics of other languages too, right? Why the language you have mastered is better than the other language. Is it clear? So I'll be keeping it on. No, again, it's just freeze. I'm keeping it on the short mode only because my system is freezing when I'm just trying to get. Okay, why we use .NET? Okay, we use .NET because .NET हम इसलिए use करते हैं क्योंकि .NET platform हमें variety देता है to move with different languages. Like .NET क्या है? Language independent है. अगर आपको Java आती है, आप उसमें जा सकते हैं. अगर आपको C++ आती है, तो आप C# में कोड कर सकते हैं. So .NET is not a language; it is a platform, right? Where we have different languages like VB, VB.NET, and so forth. ठीक है? Now here, this is the basic structure of C that you all know. Include stdio.h, main, printf, return 0, and then curly bracket close. So stdio.h is standard input-output header file, right? It's a predefined library which contains the meaning of different functions like printf. So if I show you the online compiler, just give me a second. Yep. If I show you the online compiler here, so we will see that this is the basic code. If I run it, it will just print try program is pro. So if I write good morning and run it, it will print good morning, right? So here, what is this stdio.h? That's the header file that contains the meaning of this function, predefined function printf. Main is the main function from where my program will start. So if you are not writing return 0, then you should write here void main. And then you can skip return 0. And you can also write int main and return 0, right? Okay, so this is a basic syntax of C language. So here, everything we'll write inside the main part. Clear? Now, yes, of course, one person has asked me a question कि .NET में एक टाइम पे 2 से 3 प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में कोड कर सकते हैं. बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं. आप एक प्रोजेक्ट में आप डिफरेंट सेक्शंस यूज कर सकते हैं एंड यू कैन कोड देम एंड कंबाइन देम इन .NET प्लेटफॉर्म. बट वो करना थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स टास्क हो सकता है, राइट? Yes, but that is why the .NET was designed. .NET इसीलिए आया था कि अगर जैसे हमारे पास कोई प्रोग्रामर है जो जावा में है, who is mastered in Java, कोई प्रोग्रामर जो C++ में है और उनको एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाना है, तो with the help of .NET they can define one project, right? By coding, like Java के लिए आपके पास उसमें J sharp होती है. If you are a C++ प्रोग्रामर तो उससे मिलता जुलता सिंटेक्स C sharp का है. Okay, but .NET की एप्लीकेशन although थोड़ी heavy होती है because lots of utilities are also there. Okay, now let's go back to our slides. So in this program, there are many things like the preprocessor directive, main function, statement, and return values. Correct? So this was a basic structure. I hope you all have this idea. So how to compile and execute? Like first write a code in C file, then compile it, then link with the objects, and then you can run it, right? And it will give you the output. Now, basic elements of C are keywords, identifier, constant variables, data types, and operators. So these are the basic elements. What are the keywords? Keywords are the reserve words. Reserve words. What are reserve words? They have the special meaning for the language compiler. Like I say printf. So this is a reserve word. Printf has special meaning. Scanf. Scanf also has a special meaning. Right? Main, int. So they have they are known as the keyword. They have a special meaning for the compiler. What are identifiers? They are used to identify something. Okay, Aditya, I will come to your question. What is the use of C language? I'll come to this. Then we have also constants, like I define a equal to 10. So a is a variable and 10 is a constant. Then data types, there are primitive data types like int, char, float, double, boolean. These are primitive types. And if you go to the reference type, then string, arrays, right? These are the reference type. Then operators, we have different type of operators, arithmetic operators, like plus, minus, multiply, divide, modulus and divide. Then logical operators like and, or, not. Relational operators, less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, not equal to, double equal to. And we also have many more operators like bitwise operator, shift operators, and many more, right? So these are the basic ones, and that remains the same in every language, right? So one of you have asked me a question that what C is used for. So C is a language. First of all, C is the basics for all the other programming languages, right? Secondly, C is a very good language to use when you want to manipulate the memory because C has pointers, correct? So if you want to do any task where you are using the memory, then you can C or C++. C++ is the higher version of C and most of the things are same except the classes and objects, right? And you know that Windows, like if I ask you Windows, the operating system that is designed So Windows is designed in C++. Similarly, if you want to do the chip programming, if you want to directly code on chip, you can use C, right? If you want to design robotics, you can move with C. If you want to go with the microprocessor part, you can go with C, because C is where we can directly code on the machine. And you might have heard a very common term like middle level language, like C is a middle level language, right? Although middle level language term is not officially there, but a language which acts as a high level and as a low level, then that language is a middle level language, right? So here C can be a high level language too and low level language, correct? I hope you got the answer of your question. That for what we use C. So C is C. First of all, C is the fundamental language. If you are learning any language, Java or Python, and you start with learning with C, so because with Java and Python, we have lots of, functions. We can use them. But here in C, we'll have to apply the logic. Like suppose if you want to find the length of a string, you have to apply the logic. So building your programming capability, C is a very good language. Secondly, if you are working with the utilities where you want to work with the hardware, then you cannot do that in Java and Python because they don't have pointers. So again, C is a very good language. Correct? And this is same, like keyword identifier, this is same for every language, whether you talk about Java, whether you talk about Python. Now, we know that there are different type of statements. So first is a simple statement. So all statements that ends with semicolon is a simple statement, correct? Now, second is your conditional statement. Statements that depend upon some condition. Like suppose I said, if it rains, I will take umbrella, right? So now I'm introducing one condition. What is the condition? The rain. So okay, I will answer your question. We'll keep last 10 minutes for the query session, and then I will answer your question because it's disturbing the flow of this course, right? Let me first complete it, then I will answer your questions, okay? So when I talk about conditional statements, so conditional statements is basically where we introduce a particular condition, right? Suppose I said, if it rains, I will take umbrella. So यहाँ पर हमने एक कंडीशन दे दी. क्या कंडीशन दे दी कि बारिश, अगर बारिश होगी तो मैं छाता ले जाऊंगी. So now my execution of my program has changed. If condition is true, something will happen. If condition is false, some other thing will happen. So there are two type of conditional statement, if and switch. I hope everyone knows them and is familiar with the syntax. Now next type of statements are looping statements. What are looping statements? For, while, and do while. Right? For, while, and do while. Correct. So these are the three looping statements that we have. What is the looping statement? Repetitive statement. Suppose I say print your name 1,000 times. So you won't write printf, Ria, printf, Ria, printf, Ria. Rather than you will run a loop. Right. So if you want to do some task multiple times, then you'll go with looping statement. And I hope you have a clear idea what is the difference between for, while, and do while. What is if and switch. If not, just go analyze, do some analysis and find out what is the difference between them and when to use which conditional statements, right? Now let's talk about the functions in C. So what is a function? Functions are of two types, built-in and user-defined functions. So built-in functions are your printf and scanf. Printf is a print function, scanf is a function that is used to take input, right? So suppose I define two variables here. Right. Suppose this is a simple line of code and we try to run it. So since I have not given any statement, it is just asking me two numbers. Sum is 13. If you want to be more specific, you can write printed, enter two numbers. Correct? So enter two numbers, 7 and 8, and sum is 15. Correct? Right? Okay. So here what is happening when we define ABC in a memory, three blocks are created. One is A, another is B and C. And then I store the value 7. So in A, 7 will be stored. Percentage specifies the integer value. We have percent %F, we have percent %C. If you want to insert a character, F if you want to insert a floating number, right? And B is 8. Then when you write C equal to A plus B, the 7 and 8 will be added and 15 is stored, right? And then you write sum is percentage %C. So integer value C is printed, correct? This is how the basic C works. Now, when we talk about functions, then what are the functions? That it increases the reusability of code. Now, suppose I give you one question. Suppose I want to design a program that does the student manipulation. ठीक है, वो बहुत सारे टास्क परफॉर्म करता है. स्टूडेंट मैनिपुलेशन प्रोजेक्ट है. एंड इन दैट हम क्या कर रहे हैं? वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग द फीस ऑफ द स्टूडेंट, एवरेज मार्क्स. ठीक है, और हम उसपे उसकी पर्सनल डिटेल्स भी प्रिंट कर रहे हैं. And we are tracking the attendance also. Lots of many things are we are doing. So do you think that it's better to design this project with function or without function? You can write your answers in the chat box. Like I should design this kind of program with functions or with. Giving 2 minutes to everyone to write it down. Okay, Ria said with function. Ashmi says with function. So most of you said with functions. That's correct, right? Why? Because that will make my program more manageable. Yes, and then we can reuse the code several times, and also that increase the modularity, right? Now I'm writing one code here. Suppose I write one function, void sum. Correct? And then enter two numbers, and I will call this sum. Correct? Yes. And if I run this, so you can see sum is coming 13. There's no much effect on my output. Output is same. But on my code, there is much more effect because I can call this sum as many times as I want and with multiple values. Right? Yes. So it's a void kind of function. I enter two numbers, 8 and 7, 6 and 7. And then not many sum are calculating. Let me write slash n for better clarity. Okay, so sum 8, 11, 9 and 17 is coming, right? So what we have done, we have to use the sum multiple times. Now, if I create this function with integer, return. right? So if I run it, enter two numbers, 3, 4. So you can see sum is 7. Not much effect on the output. Output is of course the same. But here we are using the return statement, right? Now suppose I ask you to enter three numbers and I print them. Now, do you think is it possible to find the sum of three numbers using this function that I have defined here? Yes or no in the chat. Is it possible to add three numbers using the same function that I have defined for two numbers? Okay, Akash said yes, Dipanshu said no. What about the others? Giving you one more minute. Others, please type. Tell me whether what do you think? Riya, Gulshan, Aditya, Abhijit, yes. Okay. Riya, yes. Faiza, Dipanshu, Vikas. Okay. 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 So, yes. So we can, yes, surely we can use this function to add three numbers because it's returning some value. That value we can reuse. Like here, I can write sum equal to, or I can take S just not to confuse you. S equal to sum S comma C. Printf sum is percent D comma X. Right? So now what's happening here? Like I'm inserting some value. It will go here. Let me first run it for you. Enter three numbers, 2, 3, 4. So sum is coming 9. So when I enter 2, so A is 2, B is 3, and C is 4. It will be here 2 and 3. So 2 plus 3, 5. 5 is returned and stored in S. So S becomes 5 and what is C? C is 4. Again, this function will be called, this is 5 and this is 4. 5 plus 4, 9. And 9 is returned and stored here, right? So you have seen that how using only one function that calculates the sum of two numbers, I can find the sum of three numbers also, right? So it has increased my code reusability. Correct. And then I can call this function as many times as possible. Right? Correct. So how functions help us in program that they increase our code reusability, and it's always, better to design the program with using functions so that it is easy to manage. If some module is giving error, you know where to search for, which code to look for. Correct? Right? Okay. So I hope this is clear that how functions help us. Now array. So what is the array? The collection of same type of data type is an array, right? A string is also the array of characters. So how array help us in programming? So suppose I ask you to enter the marks of 5 subjects and find their sum and average, right? This is a simple code. So what you will do? You will write in m1, comma m2, comma m3, comma m4, comma m5, comma sum, comma average. Okay, and marks of 5 subjects. So first I'm writing without array, just help you understand. So sum is S. And average is A. Correct. So this is a simple program. I hope everyone knows this, right? Now let me run it. Okay, my bad. I just missed the semicolon. 34, 56, 67, 78, 39. So it's simply finding the sum and average, right? Now here I am defining these using the 5 variables, right? You can screenshot this program. Now let me just convert this program using an array. So what I will do, 5, enter marks of 5 subjects for int I equal to 0, less than 5, I plus plus, scanf, percent B, comma, ampersand M of I, right? Now I can find the sum equal to sum plus M of I. And since I'm using the value of sum, I have to initialize it to 0. Then average, right? Okay, so it's fine, the sum and average, right? So there is no much effect on the output. Although we have changed here, we have used array. In the previous case, we have used the variables. Okay, now what happens? I have a very basic question for you all. Like, what do you think? Like when I define M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, and when I have defined an array of M5, which takes the more memory? Like which takes more memory? Case 1 or case 2? Like, yeah, everyone please answer, give your answers. Case 1. Which will take more? Why I'm using percent %d so many times? In which example? Okay. So Dipanshu, I was using percent %d so many times because I was inserting variables, right? Like in the first case, I was writing scanf percent %d, M1, M2, M3. So I'm using different variables. So I will have to use percent %d that many times. No? Yes, right? Okay, so you said that case 1 and case 2, lots of you have answered that case 1 will take more memory. But why? Now my question is why it will take more memory? Considering of I integer take 4 bytes in memory, right? So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. It will take 20 bytes. If I define an array of 5 integers, then also it will take 20 bytes. Yes or no? So the memory in the both the cases is same. Defining an array will not save my memory. It will only make my task easy to do, easy to code, right? I will, if I'm using 5 variables, I will have to remember 5 names. Or still, five for 5 is fine. But if I say 1,000 variables, then you cannot define 1,000 variables separate. So rather than if you design an array, then you have to remember only one name and manipulate it. But suppose you are creating an array of 1,000 and storing only 100 values. So rest 900 values will be, rest 900 space will be a waste. Correct? Yes. So for that, I will recommend that use 100 variables if you have like, or use an array of 100 length. See, understood my question? Suppose I'm defining here the marks of 5, but I'm not sure of the fixed size. Can you give me one? Okay, sorry for this disturbance. Now, suppose, there are the marks of 5 subjects and we are storing the marks of 5 subjects. But we know that we have to store only the marks of 2 subjects. Then rest 12 memory will be my wasted here, right? So for this, I will not recommend an array. I will recommend only the normal variables, right? But you, if you want to, you know that every student will have the marks of 5 subjects, then it's rather better to define an array than going with a variable, right? So here there is no change in the memory, but the manipulation is very easy with the arrays. Correct? Got understood? So while designing a project, when you will design a project, you will decide in the design part which kind of variable you want to take, which data type will be best suited to save the memory and to make the processing also efficient. Correct? Yes. Like suppose you go to buy a laptop or a computer. What two things you mainly focus on? One is the memory and another is the process. Correct? So using less line of code will make my software more efficient. Now here, I can reduce the line of code. Wherever it's necessary, I should reduce the line of code, right? Second, using less variable will also save my memory. Like suppose this is my A. There was no need of this variable A. There was no need of this variable A. I can directly write here S divided by 5. Correct? Okay. So now I'm saving my 4 bytes more. There is no effect on the programmer. So before designing a program, when you do the analysis and then you go to the design part, decide which kind of variable you want to use, which kind of data structure you want to use. That is also the efficient part of program design, right? Now, I hope arrays are clear. Then pointers. So we have pointers in Java, sorry, in Python, which we don't have in Java, right? No, sorry, my bad. We have pointers in C and C++, which we don't have in Java and Python, right? So pointers are very efficient for managing the memory. So if you want to design an OS operating system, or if you want to design a system software, I hope everyone knows that there are 2 types of softwares. Like the system software and application software. So what is a system software? System softwares are like the operating system, utilities, and system software, operating system, utilities, and what we call next is like the drivers, device drivers. These are our system software. Application softwares are like MS Word, Paint, or you want to define for some application. So if you want to go with application, it's better to move with the other programming languages like Java, Python, .NET. If you want to go with website, you can move with the PHP also, JSP, or the Django module of Python. But if you want to design a system software, then it's better to go with C or C++, right? C++ and C. Clear? Because it contains the pointer. If you want to move the chip programming, if you want to program on the robots, then also it's better to go with C. So first task is to decide that which kind of project you want to design. Depending upon your area of interest, depending upon your, skills, you have to decide that which project you have to design, right? Now, one person has asked me a question that वन वन पर्सन हैज सेड कि ओके कि अगर किसी को कोई लैंग्वेज नहीं आती है, हम डायरेक्टली मशीन को बिल्कुल इंस्ट्रक्शंस दे सकते हैं, राइट? जैसे हम वॉशिंग मशीन की कोडिंग करते हैं, यस, तो हम कोई प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज यूज नहीं करते। यस, हम एसीज हो गए, हम माइक्रो कंट्रोलर्स की जब प्रोग्रामिंग करते हैं, लेकिन वो एक लिमिटेड टास्क के लिए होता है, क्योंकि हम हाई एंड प्रोग्राम्स को जीरोस एंड वंस में लिखना बहुत डिफिकल्ट टास्क है। आपने बाइनरी टू डेसिमल कन्वर्जन, डेसिमल टू बाइनरी कन्वर्जन किया होगा, तो एक नंबर को डेसिमल से बाइनरी में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए हमारे पास बहुत सारे एफर्ट्स होते हैं। तो आपको लगता है इतना लंबा कोड बाइनरी में कन्वर्ट करना बहुत इजी टास्क होगा? नहीं होगा। जब चार्ल्स बैबेज ने कंप्यूटर डिस्कवर किया था, डिस्कवर्ड कंप्यूटर, इन्वेंटेड कंप्यूटर्स, तो हम किसी तरह कोड करते हैं, हम डायरेक्ट मशीन में कोड करते, तो एक पर्सन बैठता था जो सबके लिए कोडिंग करता था, राइट? तो उस केस में हम कर सकते हैं, लेकिन प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज हमारे इस टास्क को बहुत इजी बनाती है। प्लस इतना इंटरैक्टिव कोड नहीं होगा जितना आज की डेट में जो हम फ्रंट एंड में यूज करते हैं, और ना ही कंप्यूटर यूज करना इतना इफिशियंट होगा, क्योंकि हर कोई मशीन के अंदर कोड नहीं कर सकता है। प्लस अगर आपने गलत कोड कर दिया, मीन्स सपोज आपने मिस्टेकनली, अभी यहाँ पर क्या आपने गलत कोड कर दिया, कंपाइलर आपको एरर बता देता है, लेकिन जब आप मशीन पे कोड कर रहे हैं और आपके पास कंपाइलर नहीं है, तो आपको नहीं पता चलेगा आपने क्या गलत कोड किया, और आपका सिस्टम क्रैश भी हो सकता है। इसलिए अब जब यहाँ पर हम पॉइंटर्स यूज करते हैं, हमने बोला इसमें पॉइंटर्स होते हैं, लेकिन पॉइंटर्स को हम बहुत इफिशिएंटली यूज करना पड़ता है। अगर आपने गलत मेमोरी को रीड एंड राइट कर दिया, तो इट्स फाइन, बट अगर आपने गलत मेमोरी को राइट कर दिया, तो हो सकता है आपका विंडोज भी क्रैश हो सकता है, आपका सिस्टम क्रैश हो सकता है। सो वर्किंग विद पॉइंटर्स इज नॉट अ इजी टास्क। ऑल्दो लोग ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम बनाते हैं, डेवलप करते हैं, नॉर्मल पीपल लाइक यू एंड मी कैन ऑल्सो डेवलप द ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम डिवाइस ड्राइवर्स, बट वी नीड टू बी वेरी विजिलेंट और extra proactive, because if wrong pointers, wrong memory is handled, then it can also, can corrupt my system. Okay, आप बैक एंड लैंग्वेज लाइक एसक्यूएल, किसी ने मुझसे क्वेश्चन भी पूछा था कि बैक एंड लैंग्वेज यूज कर सकते हैं सी में, तो बैक एंड लैंग्वेज आप यूज नहीं कर सकते, ऑल्सो सी में आपके पास फाइल हैंडलिंग होता है, सी और एसक्यूएल के बीच का कोई कनेक्टर नहीं होता है। जैसे जावा और एसक्यूएल के बीच कनेक्टर होता है जेडीबीसी, ओडीबीसी, ये कनेक्टर्स होते हैं दो लैंग्वेज को करने के लिए उसमें, ठीक है? जैसे एसक्यूएल डाटाबेस एक सेपरेट प्लेटफॉर्म है और सी एक सेपरेट प्लेटफॉर्म है, तो इन दो प्लेटफॉर्म को कनेक्शन देने के लिए हमारे पास कनेक्टर्स होते हैं, पर सी और एसक्यूएल का कोई कनेक्टर नहीं है। तो सी से आप फाइल में डेटा रीड कर सकते हैं, हमारे पास फाइल हैंडलिंग होती है सी में, in which we can write the data. If you want to store it, you can write in files. ठीक है? और इसमें डायनेमिक मेमोरी एलोकेशन भी होता है, malloc, alloc, realloc and free. So if you want to write the data, you cannot write directly on the SQL or database, you can write on file. So ऐसा कनेक्टर होता नहीं है. Yeah, what a device, yes. Uh, anything, any other questions you people have? Yes, any other questions you have? First thing is for you is to decide a project, right? Depending upon your area of interest, you have to decide which project you want to go with. Whether you want to design a website, you want to design a web application, आप कोई game design करना चाहते हैं, ठीक है? आपके पास आप कोई एक GUI एप्लीकेशन डिजाइन करना चाहते हैं, तो अपने एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट के हिसाब से एक डोमेन चूज कीजिए जिसपे आप कोई एप्लीकेशन डिजाइन करना चाहते हैं. प्रोजेक्ट गाइड यू विल गेट फ्रॉम योर कॉलेज, ठीक है? फिर सेकेंड थिंग है आपको उस प्रोजेक्ट में क्या क्या रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, राइट? या हम अभिजीत विल डिस्कस कि हम सी में क्या क्या प्रोजेक्ट्स बना सकते हैं. सी में देखिए, आप हाई एंड प्रोजेक्ट्स नहीं बना सकते, मतलब हाई एंड प्रोजेक्ट्स अगर आप जाएंगे तो आपको हार्डवेयर के साथ मैनिपुलेशन करना पड़ेगा. लाइक आप चिप प्रोग्रामिंग कर सकते हैं, आप ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम की यूटिलिटी सकते हैं सी में, ठीक है? आप छोटे मोटे टिकटॉक तो गेम्स भी बना सकते हो. स्नेक वाला गेम आपको याद है, फोन में होता था, वैसे गेम्स आप बना सकते हैं. लेकिन अगर आपको इंटरैक्टिव प्रोजेक्ट पे जाना है, तो आई विल रिकमेंड जावा, डॉट नेट, पाइथन जैसी बहुत अच्छी लैंग्वेजेस हमारे पास हैं, राइट? या HTML और जावा में भी आप बढ़िया वेब एप्लीकेशन बना सकते हैं, जावा, राइट? क्लियर? तो मैं सी रिकमेंड नहीं करूंगी. लेकिन अगर आपको हार्डवेयर में कोड करना है, अगर आप हार्डवेयर की कोडिंग करना चाहते हैं और अपना अपना करियर हार्डवेयर इंजीनियर की तरफ बनाना चाहते हैं, तो आप सी के साथ जा सकते हैं, बिकॉज इट इज इन योर सिलेबस, तो आई हैव टू स्टार्ट विद दिस। और सी जो है बेसिक है सारी लैंग्वेजेस का। बट अगर आप वेब एप्स, वेबसाइट्स, वेब एप, जीयूआई एप्लीकेशन, गेम्स, इन सब में जाना चाहते हैं तो गो विद पाइथन एंड जावा एंड डॉट, जो भी प्लेटफॉर्म आपको इजी लगता है, एंड HTML एंड CSS। करेक्ट, आप इनमें से किसी भी एक उसमें डोमेन में जा सकते हैं। क्लियर है? तो फर्स्ट थिंग है आपके लिए कि आप डिसाइड करें कि आपको क्या बनाना है। देन आपके प्रोजेक्ट का स्कोप क्या है, बिकॉज स्टार्टिंग में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम बहुत फैंसी फैंसी चीजें बोलते हैं कि हम ऐसा बनाएंगे वैसा बनाएंगे, एंड टिल द एंड वी आर नॉट एबल टू अचीव इट। सो आई डोंट वांट यू टू गो लाइक दिस, right? I don't want you to go like this. Okay, so decide depending upon your abilities what you can design, and depending upon being a BCA student, like we don't want your project to be a school project or something irrelevant, so you have to decide a project like this, then do a detailed analysis about that. आप एक डिटेल एनालिसिस कीजिए कि आपको क्या क्या रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, कैसे कैसे करना है, राइट? एंड देन सेकेंड, आपके रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या है इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, एक रफ आइडिया ड्रॉ कीजिए। देन गो विद द डिजाइन पार्ट। सो पहले एक डिजाइन बनाइए कि आपको बेसिकली करना क्या। इन कंप्यूटर साइंस वी लैक द डिजाइनिंग पार्ट, इसलिए हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स जो है लास्ट में आके हम लोग खुद कंफ्यूज आते हैं, क्योंकि हम डायरेक्टली कोडिंग करना शुरू कर देते हैं। बट डिजाइन इज ऑल्सो एन इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट। डिजाइन में कैसे आपकी वेबसाइट दिखेगी, आप एक रफ स्केच बना सकते हैं इधर इन द नोटबुक और इन द कंप्यूटर्स, कैसे आपकी वेबसाइट दिखेगी, कहाँ पर क्या टैब्स होंगे। यू कैन टेक द रेफरेंस ऑफ अदर प्लेटफॉर्म्स, जिस जो भी आप डिजाइन करें उसके जैसे अदर क्या प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं। ठीक है, क्लियर? जैसे आप अगर नेटफ्लिक्स ऐसा कोई प्लेटफॉर्म डिजाइन कर रहे हैं तो आप वहां पे जा सकते हैं। अगर आप कोई वेबसाइट डिजाइन कर रहे हैं तो आप उसके जैसी वेबसाइट देख सकते हैं। सपोज यू आर डिजाइनिंग अ शॉपिंग वेबसाइट, तो आप Amazon, फ्लिपकार्ट, इनसे रेफरेंस ले सकते हैं। आप किसी बिजनेस के लिए कोई वेबसाइट डिजाइन करें तो उससे जैसे रिलेटेड बिजनेस की वेबसाइट देख सकते हैं। आपको कोई गेम डिजाइन करना है तो आप उसमें जा सकते हैं। करेक्ट? Okay, last date to submit the synopsis will be told by your college. Clone वेबसाइट का क्लोन, लाइक रादर देन आई विल से कि आप मतलब अपना खुद का वेबसाइट बनाइए। मीन्स नॉट एग्जैक्टली द क्लोन लाइक दैट, यू कैन चेंज द लुक एंड फील ऑफ द वेबसाइट, एंड यू कैन इंक्लूड, आप उसमें कुछ और चीजें अपने हिसाब से, अपने कैलिबर के हिसाब से इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं। BCA और MCA के बच्चों को प्रोजेक्ट बनाना होता है दीपांशु, प्रोजेक्ट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट। नहीं नहीं, Minder, I said that it's not necessary that you have to design है आपके प्रोजेक्ट में C++, so आपको बस पाइथन और जावास्क्रिप्ट आता है, you can make a project in that. It's fine that you don't know C, right? Okay. पर अगर कोई जैसे हार्डवेयर प्रोजेक्ट बनाना चाहता है तो वो सी में भी बना सकता है। ओके, डेटा एनालिसिस में किस तरह का प्रोजेक्ट, लाइक व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दिस प्रोजेक्ट विल डू? सिनॉप्सिस आपको प्रोजेक्ट गाइड आपके कॉलेज से मिलेगा, राइट? यस, यू कैन क्रिएट अ प्रोजेक्ट इन जावास्क्रिप्ट। रिएक्ट बहुत अच्छा फील्ड है जावास्क्रिप्ट का, रिएक्ट नेटिव, रिएक्ट जेएस, आप किसी में भी जा सकते हैं। ओके, एनालाइजिंग बिजनेस ट्रेंड और कस्टमर बिहेवियर, सो मींस यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि हम डेटा एनालिसिस में पाइथन का, मैटलैब एंड एडवांस लाइब्रेरी यूज करके आप पाइथन के साथ जा सकते हैं। अच्छा, खुद ढूंढने के लिए बोला प्रोजेक्ट गाइड, देन यू कैन फाइंड द प्रोजेक्ट गाइड। ओके, Okay, I will get more detail about the project guide and I will let you know this question. I don't have much idea. Yes, you can create a management system also in project, but I would recommend that use something BCA. We expect you to be good at programming, right? So आप बना सकते हो, बिल्कुल कोई मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम बना सकते हो ना, बट ऑलरेडी देखो बहुत सारे मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम्स हमारे पास हैं. एंड देन come up with the idea that gives some uniqueness to your management system so that you can get good marks. सीए स्टूडेंट से हम क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं प्रोजेक्ट में कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल देखिए वी डोंट वांट समथिंग हाई फाई एंड फिक्शन फ्रॉम यू, बट वी आल्सो डोंट वांट कि आप ऐसा प्रोजेक्ट बनाए जो एक स्कूल आजकल 9th एंड 10th ग्रेडर्स आईसीसी दे हैव प्रोग्रामिंग, राइट? सो आप कुछ ऐसा बनाए जो बहुत बेसिक हो. तो आपको इस तरह से आपको प्रोजेक्ट बनाना है जिसमें आप मतलब इधर आप जीयूआई एप्लीकेशन वेब ऐप आप कुछ भी बना सकते हैं, प्लस उसमें आप अपना कुछ एक यूनिक फीचर डालिए, राइट? आपका सिस्टम कैसे दूसरों से अलग है, हाउ यू विल बी एबल टू जस्टिफाई योर प्रोजेक्ट. सो आपको ये भी ध्यान देना होगा. प्लस आई ऑल्सो डोंट वांट कि आप स्टार्टिंग में तो प्रॉमिस करें कि हम कुछ ऐसा फैंसी सा बनाएंगे और लेटर में आप उसको अचीव ना कर पाए. तो अपने कैलिबर के हिसाब से गिव सम टाइम, लाइक प्रोजेक्ट रिसर्च on projects depending upon your caliber area of interest is also take some time, right? ओके, सो इसको थोड़ा सा टाइम दीजिए, प्रोजेक्ट बनना शुरू हो जाएगा अगर आपको एक बार पता चले कि आपको बनाना क्या है. तो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज टू डिसाइड दैट व्हाट वी वांट टू मेक, व्हाट वी कैन अचीव, राइट? व्हाट आर आवर कैपेसिटी एंड कैलिबर. क्लियर? अगर आप इन सब चीजों को इंक्लूड करेंगे तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि आपको क्या बनाना है. क्लियर? तो आप थोड़ा टाइम दीजिए इसको एंड रिसर्च आउट योर प्रोजेक्ट्स. Yes, you can make AI like chatbot or sentiment analysis. We You can make the front end, but then back end is also necessary, right? तो या डेटा कहाँ पर स्टोर करेंगे, बैक एंड भी चाहिए. सिर्फ फ्रंट एंड से काम नहीं चलेगा, आपको बैक एंड भी चाहिए होगा. ठीक है? सो बाय द नेक्स्ट क्लास दैट इज ऑन नेक्स्ट संडे आप लोग डिसाइड करिए कि आपको क्या प्रोजेक्ट बनाना है, आपके क्या कैलिबर है. ठीक है? आपको किस प्रोजेक्ट के साथ जाना है एंड ऑल्सो डिसाइड कि उसकी क्या क्या रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं. दैट इज द मेन थिंग टास्क टू डू. और आप किस लैंग्वेज में प्रोजेक्ट बनाना चाहते हैं. ओके, एनीवन हैज एनी क्वेश्चन? Yes, you can create a data analysis project using Python. हाँ, एपीके भी बना सकते हैं, एंड्रॉइड यूज करके बना लो या रिएक्ट. बट करेगा क्या एपीके वो भी आप जस्टिफाई करिए. ठीक है? मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज टू लाइक इफ यू विल बी आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस कि आप कैसे अपने प्रोजेक्ट को जस्टिफाई करेंगे, हाउ योर प्रोजेक्ट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर्स, यू आर एबल टू जस्टिफाई इट, राइट? क्लियर? So let's meet in the next class on Sunday, and by the time all of you should, we will have a clear idea that what you are trying to make. Yes, Chetan, you can write it on the chat box. Like you are muted from the host itself, so you can write your query on the chat box. And in the next session, we'll be discussing more about the project that you can define, design in different languages, right? Smart review system for restaurant, yes, of course. मैंने कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट बनाया था? I've made lots of projects. So because then the tech, so many languages were also not there. Okay. Yes, Chetan Kumar, you have raised your hand, but you can only, I cannot unmute you. So आप इसमें लिख सकते हैं. Yes, yes, Samya, you can create a project. Okay. ललित। ठीक है, मैं इसके लिए पता करूंगी सिनॉप्सिस सबमिट करने का बटन। आई विल जस्ट आस्क फॉर दिस in the ULM portal. You keep checking the ULM portal, okay? Okay, then bye everyone. See you in the next class, and by then have a concise idea of your project, right? Okay, bye bye. Take care. Oh, that's good, Valminder. Bye bye. Bye everyone.